Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Edtech Help Desk. My name is John Sowash. Thanks for hanging out with me, coming to you from the Chromebook Classroom Studio in Southern Florida, currently in just outside of Orlando. My family heads down south for a few months in the winter to enjoy some sunshine, spend some more time outside than we can normally do in our home state of Michigan. Would love to know where you are checking in from. Just let me know in the chat. Drop it in. Let me know city, state, country that you're tuning in. Today, we're going to be answering some EdTech questions. I've got a few questions queued up that I've collected from Twitter, Facebook, email, Instagram, all the places. So we'll start out by answering a few of those, and then I'll get to some of the live questions from you. If you have a question about any EdTech products or need an idea for your classroom, having trouble with anything tech related, my specialty is Chromebooks, Google tools, and such. So if you have something related to that, drop it in the chat, and I'll do my very best to answer as many questions as I can. So I got a little new studio set up. I've got a home office back in Michigan that everything is wired up and ready to go. I just walk in and turn it on. So I had to make some modifications here. I'm in one of our spare bedrooms, and it looks great, what you can see on the camera, but off to my right here, I had to take apart a bed I've got leaning against the wall. It's actually total chaos in this room. I've been playing around with all of my camera equipment, trying to get it all set up. I bought a new ring light, a new webcam. Really impressed with this webcam right now. You know, I've mostly just been doing all my webinars, either just using the webcam on my Chromebook, or I have a document camera that occasionally I'll use as well. But I just wasn't terribly thrilled with the quality of the camera. You know, I do a lot of webinars, and teachers like yourself attend these webinars, and I want to make sure that you have a good experience, good audio, good video quality. So I ended up buying a Logitech HD webcam. And that's what I'm using right now, and I've been pretty impressed. You guys let me know what you think, but it's got a nice wide angle, which is nice. Just get the tiny little webcam view. Lets me position it a little easier. So lots of camera equipment scattered throughout the room here. I'm trying to set things up, record videos, do webinars, and things like that. So again, welcome into the EdTech Help Desk. We're going to queue up some things. Eric, thanks for checking in from Perry, Michigan. Eric, I've been to Perry many times. My dad and I, brothers, we went hunting up in the Owasso area, and Perry was the perfect point in between where we lived and where we were going. So we would always stop at Dunkin' Donuts in Perry. At the time when we would arrive at like 5 in the morning, it would be us and all of the farmers in Perry. So been there many times. Thanks for checking in, Eric. Again, let me know where you're checking in from today, and I'd love to give you a shout out. You can watch this live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitter. And I'll see those comments that you leave, and I'll throw them up on the screen, give you a quick shout out. All right, let's dive into some questions. We'll start out with a few questions that I collected just through my social media channels, emails. I get questions every day on a variety of topics, so I'll bring those to you first off. First question that I received, I received a couple of these. 'Tis the season. I don't know if it's the stimulus money coming in, but quite a few people asking for recommendations on what Chromebook to purchase. So there's two questions up on the screen, two different scenarios to kind of walk you through both of them. First, I had an individual who was interested in purchasing a Chromebook for, I think it was their grandmother or something like that. And this is a pretty common question that I get. A lot of people my age, 30-ish, helping their grandparents get into the internet technology age on a very simple device, and they're considering a Chromebook. I have several recommendations, and then just below that, Elaine was asking about a Chromebook for a school-aged child. And so I have a couple of recommendations. I'm going to go ahead and put up a podcast episode that I recorded a while ago. I recorded this episode right before Christmas during Black Friday time. And in this episode, I'll drop the link in the chat here so that you guys can check this out. I'll give you a couple of models that I can recommend, but frankly, I always kind of hesitate to recommend a specific model because it changes so quickly. And I'm not really in the business of device reviews. I focus on how to use the device. And frankly, pretty much all Chromebooks do the same thing. I mean, they're all really, really good. But let me give you a couple of recommendations. Now, for an adult who needs to check email, use Google Drive, maybe stream some Netflix, watch YouTube videos, just kind of some basic things. Let me give you my requirements, okay? So these are my teacher or kind of professional device specs, okay? I personally will never buy a Chromebook with less than 8 gigs of RAM. I want to be able to run all the tabs, not have to think about, how many things that I'm running. So that's a requirement. I like a little bit bigger screen. I prefer a touch screen. Not everybody cares, but I really like the touch screen, and I like to use a pen with my touch screen. So those are my requirements for an adult, either a teacher, a parent, a grandparent. That's what I would be looking for. So let me give you 2 devices that I think fit those specs really well. The Acer Spin 713 fits all of those things. That device, it frequently goes on sale at Best Buy. You can get it for less than $600, which is a very, very solid device. The second one, and this is the actual device that I am using right now. So if you want my recommendation, this would be it right here. This is the HP X360, and this is a wonderful device. It's super fast, and it's incredibly affordable. So it goes on sale all the time. If you look at it and it's not on sale, don't buy it. Just wait a week. It'll go on sale. $499 is about the lowest I've seen it. Wonderful device. I've purchased 2 of them. That's great. So for an adult learner, if you're a teacher, if you're buying it for a parent, a college student, that's what I would recommend. The next category would be for students. Now, I'm not quite so intense on the specs for a student device. 4 gigs of RAM is fine. I'm focusing a little bit more on durability. They get bumped and dropped and, jostled. I love having dual cameras so that students can take pictures of science projects and things. Touchscreen is a bonus there. I'm not going to spend a ton of money on these because, again, students can be pretty rough on them. So I want to get something that's a good value, but realizing that it's not going to last forever. Couple of devices that fit that. I mean, frankly, there's so many. You're going to be fine. The Acer Spin 11 is a good option. That one does have dual cameras. And then the HP 11. I really like HP Chromebooks. I have a ton of them. My own kids have the HP Chromebooks as well. They've been very rugged, very durable. They're not the most beautiful devices. They're thick, they're heavy, but they're very, very durable. So any HP device, and you can get those at Target, Best Buy, Walmart, will probably be doing just fine. So those are a couple of Chromebook recommendations. Let me drop this link in the chat if you're interested in checking them out. All right, put that out there. This is on my podcast. So if you just search for the Chromebook Classroom podcast, look back into like Black Friday time, you'll see see some episodes on that. Okay. All right, let's move on to another question. Mary Zhang, thanks for checking in. I'm going to actually jump ahead and answer your question. Mary, I am very sad to let you know that you are not alone in having this issue. I actually came prepared to answer this question because in addition to Mary, she's saying, the share tab option in a Google Meet is no longer working. Mary, it is not you, it's Google. For reference, these are all of the other people who are also experiencing that or similar issues. For reasons that I don't know, Google Meet has been a hot mess this week. And it's weird. It's hit and miss. I've been doing Google Meet sessions. I haven't had any issues. But some teachers are reporting that, yes, when they do a share tab, they switch the tab, Meet crashes, it kicks them out. People are saying that the host controls are randomly coming and going. Actually, last week I did have an issue. I did not have the Q&A feature. I had breakout rooms, I had polls, but Q&A had just like disappeared. So if you're experiencing any Google Meet weirdness, it's a very technical term, it's not you. And I don't know that there's a whole lot you can do to fix this. It is something on Google's end. They are aware of the issue, and they're going to have to roll out some kind of a fix. Now, I can give you a couple things to try, but there's no guarantee that they will work. Mary, the short-term fix for you is I would recommend using the shared desktop option. Rather than the share tab. Now, I understand if you are using the share tab option because you're trying to share audio or play a video, then you're really in trouble because the only way that audio is shared via Google Meet is by that share tab option. So again, we're going to have to wait for Google to fix things. A couple other things you can try. You probably already did this. Make sure Chrome is up to date. Check to see if you have any updates. Close Chrome and reopen it, close and restart your computer. I mean, those are real basic things. I don't have a great deal of confidence that those will fix the issue, but that will eliminate all of the, the common troubleshooting things that you might want to try. One final thing you can try is to disable some of the Chrome extensions that you have running. If you have a bunch of Google Meet extensions, so Grid View, Nod, attendance extensions, Annotate Meet, I mean, there's so many of them now. Again, I have not heard reports that any extension is causing this issue, but if you can eliminate as many variables as possible, you may be able to limp through until Google pushes out a final fix. So Mary, thank you for that question. Unfortunately, you are not alone. Many others are experiencing that same thing. Eli has a good question. Throw this up. Eli, thanks for watching. Eli's asking, do you know a way to alphabetize the participants in Grid View and Google Meet? So Eli, yes. Google itself, the Grid View or tiled view option does not give you the ability to change how the student names are displayed. However, if you install the Grid View extension, I will drop the link to this in the chat. This is one of my favorite Chrome extensions. I do continue to use this extension even though we have the tiled view layout. This extension gives you many additional options, including the ability to sort your students, either alphabetically by first name or alphabetically by last name. So Eli, I'm going to drop this in the chat. Grid View extension. And then Eli, let me see if I can do this. Yep. So Eli, once you have that extension installed, if you put your mouse over top of the Grid View icon that will appear inside of Google Meet, you'll see an option that says change participant sorting or something like that. You'll be able to change how that is displayed. So play around with that. There's a lot of cool bonus features inside of that grid view extension, which is why I continue to use it. Let me scroll through here. Karen is also expressing some issues and problems with Google Meet. Karen, I'm assuming you said you are meaning Google Meet, not Google Classroom. I'm having similar issues. Like I mentioned, the Q&A feature disappeared for me one day. For now, I'm going to lump your issue in with just the larger issues that Google Meet is experiencing, especially if it comes and goes. Your school district does need to, purchase the enterprise version of Google Meet, which it sounds like they have done. And secondly, they have to actually provision the licenses. So they buy a certain number of premium licenses, and then they have to attach one to your account. There are some schools that haven't done that second step correctly. And so that's one reason that teachers are having the premium features, and then they disappear. I don't know that that's the issue. I'm going to guess, Karen, that the disappearing features are just part of the larger problems that Google's experiencing. It's my guess anyways. Let me jump into another question. This one from Jen Giffen, my friend from Canada, who was having some issues with printing. And I specifically chose this question to bring up today because as of January 1st, Google Cloud Print is no longer supported. May it rest in peace. Google Cloud Print has been laid to rest in the Google graveyard. And so if you were relying on Cloud Print to print from your Chromebooks or any device, then you're stuck. It's not working. And that's a similar thing that what Jen was experiencing. The good news is that you can still print from your Chromebooks. You just have to directly connect your Chromebook to your printer, either through a USB cable or by Wi-Fi. I'm not going to go through all of the steps here with you. Instead, I'm going to point you to this video that I recorded right before the first of the year. If you are having issues printing from any device, but especially a Chromebook, this video will walk you through how to connect your Chromebook to your Wi-Fi printer. So I'll drop that in the chat, and you can check it out if that is an issue you're experiencing. All right, can't type and talk at the same time. There we go. Good deal. All right, let's get back to a few questions in the chat. Again, we got about 12, 15 more minutes left. If you've got something on your mind, if you're having any issues, need some lesson ideas, tool recommendations, drop those in the chat, and I will do my best to get to as many as I can. Pamela, thanks for watching, Pam. Question from YouTube. Wondering why her rubric scores are not adding up correctly. Yeah, it can be a little confusing, Pam. Do my best to explain it. So when you attach a rubric to a Google Classroom assignment, you build your rubric, and you can have as many criteria as you want. And for each criteria, you can establish points. So you might do, mechanics are worth 3 points, and clarity is worth 5 points or something like that. So you set up your rubric as many points as you want. Your rubric will then have a cumulative total. So if you have 3 categories, each worth 5 points, your total rubric score is going to be worth 15 points. Now it gets confusing because in addition to the rubric score, your Google Classroom assignment can also have a grade. The rubric score and the grade do not have to match. And so if you just set your rubric, the default for Google Classroom assignments is usually 100 points. So your Assignment could be worth 100 points, but your rubric could be worth 15, which is confusing. Now, you have a couple of options. One option is to make the assignment ungraded. So there's not a technical grade for it. Instead, it's just the rubric score. If you are not maintaining a Google Classroom gradebook, if you're just mostly doing feedback inside of Google Classroom, that's probably the route that I would go. Then you can actually report, whatever grade you want in your official district gradebook. So option one is to make the assignment ungraded and just use the rubric score. Option two is to change the assignment grade to match the rubric score. Now, the reason that these two, it was confusing for me. I was like, why did they do this? This doesn't make any sense. The reason that there are two scores is sometimes you want a rubric, but your district might require, have a grade scale based off of 100 or based on a 4-point scale or something like that. The two scores allows you to convert the rubric score into, for example, a percentage grade. So maybe a student got, we'll just make an easy number. Maybe they got 8 of 10 on the rubric, but then you're going to report an 80 out of 100 as the assignment grade. And that's what will actually go into the grade book. It gets a little technical. I don't know how many teachers actually need to convert their rubric score into a percentage grade, but that's why the two scores exist. Pam, I hope that was a clear explanation. It does get a little nerdy. We get into the scoring and grades and things, but that is my understanding. If I can help clarify anything, just drop another comment in the chat, and we'll take a look at it. All right, let me scroll through here. Eric, glad you had the Cloud Print resource. Yeah, I've had great success, printing from all my Chrome devices without Cloud Print. I have 2 brother printers, multifunction, print, copy, scan things. Those work really well. And then I have an HP printer, DeskJet. That one works really well also. If you're in the market for a printer, I would say that HP seems to just be the easiest to deal with Chromebooks. So if you're buying a printer, I would look at HP. It's always worked very well for me, but I've had success with Brother. And I know that other people have had success with pretty much all the major printer brands. As long as your printer connects to Wi-Fi, it should work just fine. Awesome. Thanks, Pam. Glad that was helpful. Good deal. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, a couple more questions before we wrap it up for today. Question coming in from Kathleen. This one over from Facebook. She accidentally archived a class or deleted a class. Wants to know if it's possible to recover that class. This is a very timely topic. Something that I've been chatting about for quite a while is I would strongly encourage you to set up a new class for each semester. So for a lot of schools in the United States, we're coming or just entered the second semester. And I think it's very helpful to set up a new class. There's so much content inside of Google Classroom. As a teacher, you're going to notice that it loads slower. The gradebook is like glacially slow to load if you've got a lot of assignments. And it just becomes very cluttered and difficult to find and navigate your course. By setting up a new class, it gives you and your students a fresh start, and also eliminates all the frustration about students turning in old assignments, commenting on posts and assignments that are weeks or months old. It eliminates all of that. But if you archive your class, the question is, where does it go, and can I recover it? The answer is yes. So let me quickly answer this question here. Let me jump into Google Classroom. You need to click on the old hamburger, top left corner of your course, and go all the way down to the bottom. And that's where you're going to see your archived classes. So anything that you've archived is going to be in here. You cannot delete a class from the main Google Classroom screen. If you wanted to delete a class, you first have to archive it, and then you would go in here and you can actually delete it if you want. I don't recommend deleting classes. It serves as a historical record of what you've done, the communication that you had with students. So I would not delete them, but you can if you want. Here's the restore button. So in Kathleen's case, you would go to our archive and click that restore. Google Classroom courses now match the same rules as other Google products. You probably saw all the announcements in Drive and things. Files are deleted after 30 days. So if you delete a course 30 days later, it's gone forever. So you've got 30 days to archive it, or excuse me, restore it if you change your mind. Brenda, thank you for the confirmation there. Brenda agrees with the value of setting up a new class for the new semester. Now, I'm even a little more extreme. Personally, I would set up a new class for each marking period. So every time I submit grades and we print out report cards, I'm starting a new class. Again, it gets back to that right now, you cannot restrict a student's ability from turning in old assignments or commenting on old work. There's no way to lock or archive assignments. So until we have that feature, I'm going to archive my course and bring in a new one. I've got a whole video on how to do that, especially if you need to bring content in from an old class. So obviously you don't want to have to recreate everything. I'll drop a link to this video in the chat. You guys can check it off. Check it out. Oops, I have to find it here. One of the things that you may have issues with is if you are starting a new class for the new semester, but you have an ongoing assignment in your classroom. So maybe you're doing a journal or an interactive notebook or something, and you would like that to continue after the semester break. So how do you move that assignment from your first semester class to your second semester class? So the video talks about that. I finally found it. Here we go. Let me put this in the chat, setting up a new class for semester 2. If you're interested, I think that will be a helpful option. Tim Cavey, thanks for checking in. Tim's a good friend on the far left coast of Canada, Vancouver, BC. Teachers on Fire. Thanks, Tim. Good to hear from you. All right, a couple more questions, and we'll call our quits here. Talk about Google certifications for just a minute. Next week, I'm starting my first cohort of 2021. I've got about, 55 teachers who will be joining me to earn their level 1, level 2 certifications. There's been a lot of confusion about the exam requirements, and I'm blaming Google. There were 2 testing platforms, one called ProctorU, one called Criterion, and those 2 testing platforms had different requirements. One, ProctorU, originally was closed book. You could not reference any external material during the exam. The other platform was open book, which does not make any sense. I am happy to announce, I just saw this recently. I don't think there's been an official announcement. Google is moving back toward the Criterion platform. That's the one they've been using for years, and they will be sunsetting the ProctorU platform very quickly. I think by March, it's going to be discontinued. So we're back to one platform, one set of rules, one experience. The Criterion platform has always worked better, in my opinion. And I'm excited that we don't have 2 different platforms to deal with. So that's new. I'll be sharing that with my group that'll be taking their certification tests over the next couple of weeks. Good deal. Well, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the second edition of the EdTech Help Desk. I hope to do this more regularly. I enjoy hanging out, chatting, more unscripted content here. You can reach me all across the socials. I'm J.R. Sowash on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, the Chromebook Classroom. You can head over there. Love to continue sharing with you and helping you use technology in innovative ways to organize your classroom and design better lessons. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you again for the next installment of the EdTech Help Desk.